There are about a billion other series I really like, and wouldn't you know it, Pikmin is one of them. I could go on for centuries about how great this series is. There are no bad installments, the fanbase is actually bearable, the writing is stellar, and that's not even scratching the surface. It's like the Kirby of, I don't know, strategy games? Anyways, the main mechanic of Pikmin is the series title, The Pikmin. They may all look the same, but they have different abilities and different purposes. While they're all very useful, I thought it would be fun to judge each Pikmin type, but you knew that already because that's the title of the video. Speaking of which, let's get on with the video. There's no better way to begin than with the starting Pikmin type, the Red Pikmin. These Pikmin are always the first you find in every game. You may think that'd make them too basic or something, but no, they're actually really good. In Pikmin 1, they're easily the best type to use. They have the highest damage output of them all, with their attacks being 1.5 times stronger. I don't know why that is, maybe their nose deals damage or something, it's never explained. Plus, red Pikmin have an immunity to fire, which is a pretty common hazard later on. Again, I'm not sure how a plant can withstand heat so easily, but I'm not complaining. There's just something really satisfying about an annoying enemy like fiery blowhogs becoming utterly pathetic because they can't harm reds. Unfortunately, red Pikmin were screwed over hard in Pikmin 2. It's not even that they were nerfed, it's actually because of other circumstances that made this type so useless. The fire geysers are now destructible, so it's easy to disable them with any Pikmin type as long as you're careful. Not to mention they lost the moniker of strongest to Brawl Meta Knight here, so all in all they're arguably the worst type in the second game. On the bright side, red Pikmin are just as useful in Pikmin 3 as they were in the first. It's funny, red Pikmin are the only type that were never tweaked, and they went from the best to the worst and one of the best again. But overall, I'd say reds are a good example of what the heck a Pikmin is. I have to say, it's pretty shocking how far yellow Pikmin have come. This type is often the second you discover in Pikmin games. Yellow Pikmin are distinguishable by their giant ears. I don't know if it aids them in hearing, but it does aid them in being the cutest. Apparently these also increase their throwing range. In the first game, yellows are sadly the worst type. Their throwing arc really doesn't come in handy much outside of a couple puzzles. To compensate, yellows are the only ones capable of wielding bomb rocks, but the point is they were the least helpful. Their abilities just weren't as useful as the red or blue Pikmins. But in Pikmin 2, it's like they knew how useless yellow Pikmin were and buffed them as much as possible. While bomb rocks aren't usable anymore, yellows are the only type immune to electricity. This is the only hazard in the second game, aside from explosions or crushing, that instantly kill any Pikmin, so yellows turn into one of the best, especially with how common electricity is. And in Pikmin 3, that wasn't enough. While electricity is no longer deadly, yellows have the fastest digging speed. In a nutshell, yellow Pikmin are the underdog type. And what an underdog they are. Blue. Why would a Pikmin who's not blue be here? Blue Pikmin are often the last type you discover. At first, they don't seem like anything special. They have average attack, average mobility, average throwing range, pretty much average across the board. But what isn't so average is their immunity to water. There's no denying that this is the most common hazard in any Pikmin game, so blues end up being the best type to explore with. In fact, over half of all of our ship ports require blue Pikmin to obtain, so if not for reds, they're the best type in Pikmin 1. In Pikmin 2, their usefulness is a bit more limited. Only a few overworld treasures require the help of blues, but you do need them for the second half of Valley of Repose and a couple dungeons. Also, because of the way Pikmin death is determined in the second game, blues are the most likely to die. And in Pikmin 3, they were made even more situational. They are necessary for recovering a couple fruits, and they did gain the ability to swim and fight underwater, but you receive them very late in game. I'm not saying blue Pikmin are bad or anything, but they're the epitome of bog standard. Here's what would be my favorite Pikmin type if not for another. I don't care if purple Pikmin are broken, I love them too much. They're purple and fat, which are two traits that make anything awesome. In Pikmin 2, they pretty much lead you through the game. While purples are slow and have bad throwing range, they hit like a tank. Their attacks deal twice as much damage as normal, and they have a 30% chance of stunning an enemy when landing. There are exceptions here and there, but you can decimate almost anything with purples alone. Combine that with resistances to panicking and being knocked back, not to mention the quickest digging speed, and you have an overpowered concoction. Yeah, it was probably for the best they got nerfed in Pikmin 3, especially since they're only usable in the bonus modes. They deal as much damage as reds, they can't stun enemies, they lose all their immunities, in general they're nothing but a nuisance in fights. But what they didn't change were the purples' carrying capacity. Purples have the strength of 10 Pikmin when moving an object. This not only means you can transport more items at once, but some treasures in the second game required the use of them. And I get it, purple Pikmin are kind of a mixed bag due to how unbalanced they are, but as for me, I'll cherish them forever. Just let me exploit my broken game mechanics, okay? I like to call these the Urkin Pikmin because, you know, the eyes. They could also be known as the most adorable Pikmin! Oh, and, as a bonus, these Pikmin are actually really useful in their debut game and not stupidly powerful. I have a lot to say about this type because they have a ton of gimmicks. Said gimmicks may not be as important as, you know, but they're still worth mentioning. For one, white Pikmin are immune to a new hazard in Pikmin 2, the poison. This makes them important for taking out poisonous enemies or poison emitters. Even the white Pikmin are poisonous themselves, as when they're eaten they inject poison which can harm or even kill some enemies. White Pikmin also have the best mobility of any type, so they can move treasures fast. And hey, it's nice to have Pikmin that are always behind your back, literally. But the icing on the cake is their ability to spot buried treasure. Only a fraction of the collectibles in Pikmin 2 are submerged, but I still think it's a nice addition. I'm just glad they designed white Pikmin in the perfect way possible. Pikmin 3, on the other hand, thought it would be fun to unnecessarily ruin them. Not only are their attacking digging speed below average, but the damage dealt by poison is much weaker. Yeah, I'll never forgive the third game for harming this magnificent species, but if you think that'll stop me from singing the white Pikmin songs of praise, well, you're wrong. Question my sanity if you want, but I'm allowed to have my wrong opinions. My favorite Pikmin type are the Bulbmen. I'm not even kidding. Hear me out. These things are the definition of near perfection. First of all, look at that design. They're like a blend between sweet and stupendous. Bulbmen are also great for exploring with. While they have average stats overall, they're immune to all the elemental hazards. You could go almost everywhere with these beautiful creatures. That being said, there's one massive flaw with them. Bulbmen can only be found in caves, and you're not allowed to bring them along when you leave. Sorry, that's 2. But seriously, it's just depressing to watch them be left behind. You kill their parent and then abandon them for good. But as sad as their fate may be, they fought hard for their new leader, and Bulbmen will always be, subjectively in my opinion, the best Pikmin ever. It's a good thing they rock themselves. Rock Pikmin are when they quit naming Pikmin by colors for whatever reason. Beyond that, I'd say rocks are like a more balanced version of purples. They're fairly strong when used correctly, as they deal around 20 damage when being thrown. The catch is, rocks are unable to latch onto enemies, but to make up for this, rocks have one of the best immunities in my opinion, Blunt Force. No enemy can stab or crush the rock Pikmin, which is my favorite thing about this type. They're also able to smash obstacles like glass, crystals, and even armor. It's not my favorite species of Pikmin or anything like that, but calling it worthless would be a crime. It's weird. These things were designed to be lovable, but this just doesn't do it for me. Meanwhile, a crappy-looking model catches my dumb ass. Anyways, winged Pikmin are similar to blue Pikmin in a lot of ways, sort of like how rocks are an evolution to purples. Winged Pikmin suck in combat. Their attacks are weaker than any other Pikmin type, but they aren't meant for fighting, they're designed for exploration. If it wasn't obvious from the name, winged Pikmin can fly. Since they're almost never on the ground, this allows them to hover over anything. Water, grounded enemies, crushing, those are no match for these Pikmin. And since winged Pikmin fly, they can carry objects in the sky and take advantage of shortcuts. You know, for being the last species, they really hit it out of the park with winged Pikmin. Okay, are you happy now that I've nitpicked everything about every Pikmin type? Well, unless you count those unknown species at the end of Pikmin 1, but they're the reason I called them unknown. It's hard for me to rank them all since they're all useful in their own ways, but if I really had to order them from favorite to least favorite, the list would probably be like this. Let's just hope for the 4th Pikmin game they introduce even more unique types, especially since Hey Pikmin didn't create any new ones. I mean, judging from those mysterious onions, we already have black, purple, and pink. Does anyone want to guess how cyan, orange, and green Pikmin will function? Maybe they won't even use Pikmin in the 4th installment. It'll instead feature Bulbmen and Bulbmen alone. I'd be on board with that. But anyways, until next time, this is Blue Nintendo, and wait a second, screw that! The 4th game should instead focus entirely on Alaman! Their main gimmick is being cute, which automatically makes them outstanding, but go material, I'm telling you. I mean, not even 10 are this lovable. Holy shit!